Byron Donalds, no matter what happens, is going to win the primary. And what Fishback is doing is giving the Democrats material to use against Byron Donalds in the general election. And that doesn't help us as Republicans. The state of Florida is the most conservative MAGA Republican state in the union. You know, I got a lot of problems with the betrayal of Ron DeSantis, okay? But he's been a damn good governor. He really has. He's, whether Alligator Alcatraz, we now have open carry without permits in Florida, concealed carry without permits. Everyone wants to live here. He just signed into law a couple of months ago Florida's own version of the Save America Act. Our driver's licenses tell you whether or not you're a citizen or not on the driver's license. I lost my license, had to get a replacement. It says I'm a U.S. citizen on it, so when you go and vote, they know that whether or not you're a citizen in Florida. He just named the airport in Palm Beach after President Trump, Donald John Trump International Airport. I made a YouTube video giving a complete tour of that area. I mean, so he's been a great governor. And we don't want to screw that up with Republican infighting. And this really ticks me off. Now, if it was a close race and there was a chance for Fishback or the Lieutenant Governor, Jay Collins, to win, you know, I would say, okay, the gloves are off. It's a close race. It's a toss-up. And you guys do what I wouldn't be happy about it. I still would be supporting Byron Donalds because he has the endorsement of President Trump. But this is not even a close race. So it's hopeless for them. It's completely hopeless. Even if he dropped out, he'd still be on the ballot and he'd win. Not that he's done anything that requires him dropping out. Now, you know, and I'm also a little suspect of this because if he has some crime over Byron Donalds that's so severe, wait until Thursday seems a little risky. It seems like somebody could jump you to before your press conference, it could come out and then you're going to lose the glory. It seems to me if it was that big and that important, he would drop it now before someone beats him to the punch. So then, this is crazy. So Byron Donalds went on a radio show here in Florida, and this was today. This is crazy. So here's Byron Donalds. He's on this interview show, and they're taking live calls.
We've got a call from Thomas in Jacksonville.
Oh.
Thomas, go ahead.
Well, good morning, and good morning, Congressman Donalds. Happy first day of early voting.
Does that voice sound familiar to you, Thomas? Does that sound familiar?
We've got a call from Thomas in Jacksonville. Good morning, Thomas. Go ahead.
Well, good morning, and good morning, Congressman Donalds. Happy first day of early voting. Congressman Donalds, you claim to be a staunch advocate of school choice. I just want to ask how you're going to hold charter schools accountable in the rare but serious cases when they defraud parents, investors, and taxpayers, namely Optima Classical Academy, which you and your wife abruptly shut down and left hundreds of students scrambling. And thank you for that question again. This is James Thomas Fishback.
So Fishback calls this radio show using his middle name and gets in and brings up this charter school thing, which Byron Donalds is going to respond. Come on. Come on. You know, I know it's kind of funny maybe to you. It's not funny to me. Things are very important here. This is a very important race that's hopeless for Fishback or the Lieutenant Governor, right? And to call in lying to get on the air, that just, you know, that just kind of burns me in the wrong way. I don't really appreciate that dishonesty from a Republican.
Thank you, Mr. Fishback, for calling in. So that is
And this host, well, I mean, what a beaut she is. Thank you, Mr. Fishback. I'd be all, you know how I am, guys. I would keep Fishback on the line, and I would be calling him out on his dishonesty to get on the air. If you really want on the air, just say it. We'll have you on. All right, let me rewind it, and I'll play the whole thing uninterrupted.
we've got a call from Thomas in Jacksonville. Good morning, Thomas. Go ahead.
Well, good morning, and good morning, Congressman Donalds. Happy first day of early voting. Congressman Donalds, you claim to be a staunch advocate of school choice. I just want to ask how you're going to hold charter schools accountable in the rare but serious cases when they defraud parents, investors, and taxpayers, namely Optima Classical Academy, which you and your wife abruptly hundreds of students scrambling? I thank you for that question. Again, this is James Thomas Fishback.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank you, Mr. Fishback, for calling in. So that is a question for your opponent, obviously. You have been a big supporter of charter schools, as has your wife, arguably one of the most influential figures in the school choice movement in this state, Erica Donalds.
Well, if you don't
Yes.
let me respond.
Exactly.
First of all, I've been an ardent supporter of school choice ever since I've been involved in politics. When I was in the state legislature, I passed the largest exclusion of school choice in its kind in the state's history to that point. It was the Hope Scholarship. I passed that legislation. We had that signed into law. I had Governor Scott's. When it comes to what my wife's company that she started and operated 5 charter schools in Florida. We're all still in operations today. We've been very focused. She's been very focused and diligent on making sure that kids have every opportunity to get a world-class education, and their parents have the ability to make those decisions. I think to the one school in Southwest Florida, which we talked about, they weren't able to open up that school on time, in part because of the aftermath of hurricane.
Okay. So I don't know if this is the big press conference caper that Fishback is going to talk about on Thursday, but it seems a little weak to me, this charter school thing. Now, and this is so destructive, and I don't really know what Fishback's game is here. Okay, I really don't. He came out of nowhere. He's hopelessly behind. I don't know what his game is. I don't even understand his story. But I know this. Florida is the greatest state in America. It's the best state. I love Florida. I'm not from here originally. I've lived in Florida since I was 11 years old, and I'm 55 years old now. I will never live in another state. The only time I leave Florida really is when we go on our MAGA cruises every year. I love Florida. We've got everything in Florida. And one thing we have is a great conservative, right? This is free Florida, right? We used to, before Ron DeSantis' betrayal of Trump, we called it Ron DeSantis' free Florida. Now, Byron Donalds today received another very important endorsement. He has the endorsement of President Trump, which is, of course, gold, platinum, it's everything. But Senator Rick Scott endorsed Byron Donalds today, and Rick Scott was the 2-term governor before Ron DeSantis. So let me tell you, Rick Scott was a great governor as well. We've had 2 incredible governors in a row, Rick Scott and then Ron DeSantis. And screwing around with giving us our 3rd MAGA governor is very self-destructive. And when I see what James Fishback did here, if he really is a conservative guy, he hasn't been on the scene enough to know. So I can't say that he's a real conservative or not. He came out of nowhere. He's been running around this last year, and I've seen him around. I've talked about his candidacy from time to time. But he doesn't have enough history to really make a judgment. But what he's doing here is, in the best case scenario, if it's not sabotaging the Republican Party, which it could very well do, okay, it could very well sabotage Byron Donalds in November, and maybe that's his goal. The best case scenario is it's just selfish of James Fishback because he wants some attention and is pulling a stunt like this. It's okay to have primaries and everything else. But the MAGA movement is unlike any political movement ever. It's the greatest political movement of any of our lifetimes. And I often refer to the MAGA movement as a civil rights movement, and that President Trump isn't just a political leader and a president, he's a civil rights leader. And President Trump is leading the largest civil rights movement in the history of the United States because he's leading all of the American people to freedom from the deep state, the uniparty, the donor class, the military-industrial complex, and all of that, okay? And President Trump is putting together at the state level, we've seen how powerful during the lockdown period governors can be. Look at the power that governors used against us during the shutdowns. It's crazy what governors did around this country. Even Ron DeSantis did close down Florida, contrary to popular belief. He closed down Florida. He had the state troopers putting blockades on the borders. People entering Florida had to go through checkpoints. Now, he did open us up first. And because he opened us up first, a lot of people think that we weren't shut down. No, he shut down Florida. And you've seen what others did around the country. Having a good MAGA governor is so important. And President Trump is because, you see what they do, governors. President Trump is reshaping the entire Republican Party into a MAGA party. And you do that at every level, in the House, in the Senate, with the governors, and the state legislatures. And if you get real lucky, your local elections too, with your school boards and county and city commissions. And to come out and do some October surprise in August for the primary during the early voting period, that only helps the Democrats, especially when it's hopeless for anyone else to win the primary. Remember, Byron Donalds is leading in the latest polls by 34 points. This is just it's either a narcissistic publicity stunt by Fishback, or, he's working for the other side. I don't know. But I don't like it. And if you're MAGA, you should not like it either. There's a big picture here. This is not fun and games. We're talking about the future of the United States. I mean, look, as an example, getting rid of these rhinos and Democrat Uniparty people is so important. Look what's going on right now with John Thune. There has never been a piece of legislation with so much bipartisan support among the people than the Save America Act. And John Thune won't pass it through. He's using that filibuster excuse to not do it. Everybody knows that's BS. Lindsey Graham's sister, who's now the senator from South, she's don't recess. And John Thune today is sending everybody home on vacation from the Senate so it doesn't get passed. You see what we're up against. So, no, we shouldn't be messing around with these things. Now, I'd certainly like to hear your thoughts. The number is toll-free. It's pinned in the live chat if you're watching live on YouTube. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
How you doing, Brian? This is Angela Santonio. It's been a while.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, do you know what I'm loving everything about Brian Donaldson, and it's good luck for him. But do you know that boots on the ground, right?
What did I miss something?
Yeah, they're on the ground in Iran.
What
Iraqi, the Kurds they're on the ground. They're on the ground in Iran.
I will take a look.
Okay, take a look, and I just want to say you're a good guy, and you are 100% MAGA man.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. What Fishback is doing, without question, is we're seeing a pattern here. Byron Donalds they're trying to take down. Max Miller they're trying to take down. Vivek Ramaswamy they're trying to take down. They're trying to stop the MAGA takeover of what's left of the Republican Rhino Una Party. All right, now if you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. I'm going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
I'm in the Jupiter Joe radio studio with Jupiter Joe. Joe, a lot of people I know are wondering, can I retire? Am I too young to retire? Do I have enough money or even income to retire? I'm sure you hear that a lot from people.
Those are probably the three biggest questions we get from clients. Can I retire? Do I have enough money? All we get. And here's what I'll tell you. It's all a numbers game. If you got the numbers, we can do it. That means how much money do you have and how much income can we give you? Is that simple?
No, I think the biggest mistake people can make is assuming that they don't have enough money to retire.
I have people that actually call and apologize to me because they don't want to give me their numbers. They'll say, I don't have a lot. It doesn't matter what your number is. It's just making sure you can make that work.
Well, that's what's great about annuities, because with an annuity, you're guaranteed an income stream every month for the rest of your life. How does that work?
So it's this simple. You put in a lump sum of money and you'll know exactly to the penny how much money you're going to get per month. Just
mistake of trying to plan your retirement by yourself. Call Joe Thomas, schedule your no-charge consultation, and after that consultation, Joe Thomas is going to put together a custom proposal just for you based on your situation, your goals, and where you want to be. Give him a call. The number is 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999, and online, JupiterJoe.com. What if you could understand the Bible as one complete story? From creation to Jesus to the fulfillment of end times prophecy. Now you can with engaging, eye-opening Bible study live streams where Scripture comes together in a clear, easy-to-follow way that will deepen your understanding of God's Word. Discover how the events unfolding in today's world fit into the bigger picture God revealed throughout the Bible. Explore biblical prophecy and what it says about the future. Compare God's truth with Satan's deception. Examine the evidence for creation versus evolution and gain fresh insight into the people, places, and promises found throughout Scripture. Whether you're new to Bible study or have been reading the Bible your entire life, these live streams will help you connect the dots, strengthen your faith, and better understand the times we're living in. Don't miss this opportunity to grow in your knowledge of God's Word. Join these life-changing Bible study live streams right now. Find the link in the description of this episode. Share the link on all your social media so your friends can join in too. Again, the link is in the description of this episode. Look in the description and click it right now.
All right, we're back. And yeah, there's a link to that Bible study in the description of the episode on whatever platform you are tuned in on. So check that out. Okay, so President Trump has a big story dropped today. And President Trump called off this massive bombing campaign, all right, of Iran the other day. So, what happened? And, it doesn't take long for the retired lieutenant colonels and the retired brigadier generals and all these retired military generals, most of which are working for military industrial contractors, to go on cable news and say, oh, he looks like a weak. And they're basically saying that taco thing that the liberals... President Trump knows exactly what he's doing. And now we have some understanding as to why President Trump called off the attack on Iran. Watch. Yeah. See, the plan leaked. The entire campaign against Iran leaked. Okay, so he called off the attack because the plan leaked. And this is a high-up leak. Yeah, I know, it's pretty crazy, isn't it? And the Israelis didn't even know about it, right? So he didn't even tell the Israelis. And that's a big deal because the Israelis are over there running their own, they're running air campaigns and things like that as well. So if we launch a major campaign without telling them, it can get a little hairy. Probably would have told them right at the last minute as it was launching, so there's not some air traffic confusion over the zone. But it leaked. Someone leaked it, and that's why he called it off. So all these people that have been saying for the last day or so that, oh, he wimped out, he's a coward, he doesn't want to do this, taco that, blah blah blah. Sounds like he had a pretty good reason. Someone leaked it. And like they were saying there on Fox, because even Israel didn't know about this, how did it leak? Who leaked it? It had to be someone high up. And remember the operation in the Venezuela, they'd been planning that for weeks and it didn't leak out. So what happened here? Is there somebody so high up that they leak this out that is facing prison? Now, when you say so high up, more people would know about this than the cabinet, because many people in the military would have to know about this. Many people that are at all levels of the military, including middle rank officers, right? They don't have to be generals and admirals because they're involved in the actual operation. Okay. So for this to be leaked, it could have been from God knows who, but they'll find out. But it makes sense to me that well, maybe it's not a good idea to launch a massive air campaign if the whole plan has been leaked to the enemy. I don't know. We'll find out more about that. And leaking has kind of been just the way things are done in Washington for so long. But it is a crime to do it. Unfortunately, it's not illegal for a member of the media to accept classified information and reporting that. I wonder if that works for me. I'm a member of the media, right? But it is illegal for someone with the classified access to leak it. So if somebody has classified information and they give it to a member of the press, the person in the press receiving it, they haven't committed a crime under U.S. law. But the leaker has committed a major felony they could go to prison for. I tell you, the left, they just, the left are pretty messed up. I wanted to, did you see this thing with Angel Reese today? I mean, Angel Reese is very racist. And like liberals are so wackadoodle when it comes to sports, women's sports in particular. Like they think men should play in girls' teams. But Angel Reese believes that white girls should not be playing in the WNBA. That's it. She just doesn't think white girls should be playing in the WNBA. It's a black sport. She probably doesn't have a problem with a black transgendered man who was born a man who says he's a woman playing. But white girls, she doesn't believe, are supposed to play in the WNBA. And, the WNBA is financially a defunct, really, organization before this last season, when there's some popular players in there now, right? Sophie Cunningham's the latest big superstar. And I'd forgotten about the NBA, as most everybody else did. And they're pretty ticked. And then Angel Reese said something that was just so stupid. Now, she's young. I looked her up today. She's only 24, okay? She was born in 2002, born after 9/11. Okay, so Angel Reese said when she was a girl, she didn't play with dolls because there were no dolls that looked like her. When she was born in 2002, long before that, there were black Barbie dolls and black dolls and black girl toys and everything else. Even the Cabbage Patch dolls had black Cabbage Patch dolls, both male and female, in the 80s. And it's really Angel Reese is so sad. And if she were alone, it'd just be sad about her. But I think Angel Reese is representative. It looks to me like pretty much all of the WNBA who thinks that it's a black sport, unless you're a coach. They don't mind white coaches. But white girls aren't supposed to play. And everything about Angel Reese and so many people around the NBA, it's just hardcore, institutionalized, anti-white racism. And there has not been a time in Angel Reese's life where there were not black dolls. Give me a break. Everything with her is seen through a prism of race and racism and being slighted. Here she is getting paid to play a game, and she's miserable and is a victim. Now, today, did you see what happened at the White House today? Oh, if you're on hold, hang in there. Those of you watching on YouTube, you can see this. This is Judge Janine leaving the White House. She had a meeting with the president, and she dismissed charges against some of the other vandals at the reflecting pool, not just the Olympian. 2 or 3 others she dropped the charges on too. And she had a face-to-face meeting with the president today, and then she was seen coming out of the White House with, she had one of those briefcases that's like on a luggage rack, and a big white box that you keep files in. And she walked out of the White House. It looked like she was leaving with all of the stuff in her desk, but I haven't heard that she was fired or quit yet. But she came out with this huge box, which I'm assuming are documents on these cases that she was showing to the president. That meeting would be one. I'd have been a fly on the wall in that, because the president was talking yesterday, I played it on the show this morning, that they've got video of all these vandals committing acts of vandalism at the reflecting pool, and Judge Janine said there was no vandalism at the reflecting pool, that it was all the shoddy work done by the contractors that the president hired. And I would imagine he laid into her big time, because she 100%, for whatever reason, betrayed President Trump. And as far as I'm concerned, she's done. And what I really think about Judge Janine right now is she seems all tough on television, but she's like a television actress. I know she was a real judge for a time. I'm not saying she was not a real judge at one point. She wasn't like a TV judge. She was a real judge, and she's a lawyer and everything else, and she talks tough, but there's a big difference between talking tough on TV and then being put in charge of this, and she blew it. Just like Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino talks a tough game, and then he becomes the deputy director of the FBI, and he couldn't do it. And I thought that Dan Bongino has padded his resume and was over his head and really didn't know how to do it. Okay, and he did get the pipe bomber, but if you go back and watch what he said, he didn't do any investigation or interviews. Those were all interviews and from files in the investigation from the Autopen Biden FBI. He didn't do any interviews, any investigating, nothing. It was all investigations that were done with Biden's Autopen administration. And these are Bongino and Judge Janine are television personalities, and they play the part well, so well that we thought they could handle the job, but they can't. It's one thing to sit there at the table with the five and tell Jessica Tarloff, now you listen, Jessica, da. But when you're the real United States Attorney for the District of Columbia, and you're going in front of one of these Obama or Biden appointed judges, that's not Jessica Tarloff, okay? And you can't, you got to be really good and really tough to stand up to it. And I'm very disappointed in her, because she had gotten the federal indictments, and she should have taken it to trial, and she should have let the jury decide, not be bullied around by some liberal judge appointed by some Democrat hack. And, I wish that was her walking home and cleaning out her desk, but she hasn't yet. I hope she does, because she's useless. And, even if Fox would take her back, would you trust her again? I mean, since Bongino's return, do you guys listen to Bongino? Does he have the same credibility to you now that he had before he went to the FBI and did nothing but whine about how tough it was for him and all that, to do nothing? No, I mean, I've lost a lot of respect for him, and of course, Judge Janine, and I've always liked Judge Janine, and the president did too. That's why he gave her the job. The only thing that that we can say is a great thing out of this is, because I remember when the president fired Pam Bondi, most MAGA people are like, well, maybe he's going to appoint Judge Janine. Thank the Lord he didn't. And I wonder if he had kind of an inkling that she wasn't all that competent, and that's why he gave it to Todd Bland. I don't know. But there's no way Todd Bland that Judge Janine would be doing what Blanche is doing. She would not, if she couldn't stand up in this courtroom after she had secured the indictment from a federal D.C. grand jury. how would she be able to go after Comey and all the rest? Very disappointed in her. I do like this picture. And you notice one thing about this picture, which I think if she's not on her way out, the people around her think she might be, because there's no staff around her. She's by herself in the parking lot, and she's carrying her own crap. She's an old lady, and she's got a whole staff with assistants and everything else, and she's carrying this big box and this big briefcase. It's like the people on her staff, they don't want to be seen with her, right? It's like they're distancing themselves from her, because if they're connected to her, they'll be cut off with the administration. Does it look that way to you? I was surprised to see her out there on her own. All right, I'm going to take a quick break, and then when we get back, there's a lot more to cover. My name's Brian. This, of course, is the Brian Craig Show podcast, which is available wherever you get podcasts. And if you'd like to support my content, everything that I bring you, become a Patreon supporter. There's a link to my Patreon page in the description of this and every episode. And when you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to a lot of things. Commercial-free editions of all my podcast episodes, a lot of exclusive content that my wife and I both post to Patreon. And you also get access to my exclusive Patreon live streams, where I talk about things you will never hear me talk about here, because I can't, okay? I talk about things that I cannot talk about anywhere else on Patreon. And when you're a Patreon supporter, you get access to those live streams. It's also a toll-free, it's a troll-free zone, okay? There's no trolls in the Patreon live chat, just good MAGA people. Again, the link's in the description. Now, when you go there, there's an option to become a free Patreon supporter. If you do that, you don't have access to any of the content. The content is only available to paying Patreon supporters, but it starts at just $5 a month, and then you get access to all that. If you become a top Patreon supporter, you get your name up on the screen here on YouTube, and you get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every episode. So the names you'll hear now are my top Patreon supporters. I want to thank SFjr, Christine, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Doris, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, LeeZep, Shawna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, Tina, David, Laura, Rob, Wes, Sue, Janice, Teresa, Irene, Rick, Michael, and Robert R. Those are my top Patreon supporters. Thank you all again. There's a link to my Patreon page in the description of the episode. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for a simple way to bring more wellness into your everyday life? You can do just that with VitaLife, your trusted source for premium wellness products inspired by natural living and timeless traditions. From beautifully crafted copper water bottles, copper mugs, to eco-friendly cork yoga mats and wellness accessories, every product is thoughtfully selected to support a healthier lifestyle. Complete your self-care routine with VitaLife's Elegance Bronze Tools, designed to help you relax, refresh, and rejuvenate. Whether you're building a wellness routine or searching for that perfect gift, VitaLife offers quality products you'll enjoy for years to come. They ship worldwide, too, making it easy to experience premium wellness wherever you are. Follow VitaLife on Facebook and Instagram at VitaLifeCA. That's VEDA. And visit them online at VitaLife.ca to explore the complete collection. That's VitaLife.ca, where wellness meets quality. VitaLife.ca. problem is finding the time to write it or the budget to keep hiring writers. That's where MayWrites.co comes in. Think of MayWrites.co as your on-demand writing employee. Need blog posts? No problem. Newsletters? They do that too. LinkedIn content? No worries. Website copy? Even an ebook? Just send your request. There's no pre-work charges, no per-project invoices, and no surprise costs. With MayWrites.co, you get unlimited writing requests for one simple monthly rate. It's like having a professional writer on your team. You'll get fast turnaround, consistent quality, and the freedom to stop worrying about who will write your next piece of content. Best of all, you can try it free for 7 days. If it's not the right fit, you can cancel anytime. Stop chasing writers, stop paying by the project, and start creating more content with less stress. Visit MayWrites.co right now. That's MayWrites. MayWrites.co. Your on-demand writing employee.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian, and this is the Brian Craig Show podcast. You know that caller that said we've invaded Iran? I think he jumped the gun on that. Unless no one's reporting it but him. Okay, so we got some more information on the leak of the Iran plans. Listen to this. This is about the leak. Someone who was at the Camp David cabinet meeting last Friday leaked to CBS's Margaret Brennan, Jennifer Jacobs, or James Laporta. They released the first story on the planned strikes Friday late afternoon. Okay, so let's go this. We got some more information from Fox. And you know, Margaret Brennan at CBS, you guys have heard me say this many, many times about Margaret Brennan. She's whiter than me, and I'm pretty white. She's whiter than me because I live in Florida and we have the sun here. And you know, just driving your car, you get a suntan here in Florida. But Margaret Brennan over there on CBS, her husband is Syrian. She's married to a Syrian. And I don't know if she's Muslim or her kid's Muslim. I don't know, but she's married to a Syrian. And when someone's married to a Syrian, can you really trust them with intel? I don't think so. But anyway, so it's being reported here. Someone who was at the Camp David cabinet meeting Friday leaked to either CBS's Margaret Brennan, Jennifer Jacobs, or James Laporta. They released the first story on the planned strikes Friday late afternoon. Okay, so let's go back to this report on Fox. Maybe we'll pick up some more info here. Yep.
There are plans being made to strike Iran, and the president indicated he called off the planned strikes at the request not only of Iran, but also of Gulf allies like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE. What was interesting, though, Lawrence, we spoke with senior Israeli intelligence officials over the weekend who said they weren't even aware of the details of the plan, and that's how close the administration was holding these details to the chest because of how sensitive it is in the region. And so, moving forward, we do anticipate the Trump administration will do everything possible to
Yeah.
ensure that they're not giving Iran a heads up. They want to keep the Iranians guessing as these diplomatic pathways play out, understanding that if the talks fail, we are likely looking at a return to combat operations.
Mm.
Obviously, Trey, you know, we are seeing the White House trying to keep their cards close to the vest, but there is also a tremendous buildup. We've watched a tremendous buildup over the last couple of months. You know, some of that is Trump trying to.
Okay, so yeah, so we're not getting too much more information from Fox, but there's definitely an investigation going on. You know, I tell you, the media, you know, the media are anti-American liberal activists. There's no question about it, and they believe that Donald Trump is not the legitimate president. They believe that it is their duty to do everything they can to undermine him. They believe that if they're not trying to stop him at whatever he's doing, which would include winning a war, America's longest war, almost 50-year-long war with Iran, that it is their duty to do so, and they're not doing their job unless they're undermining Trump. They really do believe that. They're sick, twisted, very self-important people. And I hope they find out who leaked this, where it came from, and who was the first to leak it. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. The rest of you on hold, stand by. I want to share this. This is the these Democrat socialists. Some of them have won primaries already. More of them are going to win primaries coming up. Okay. And I've been telling you that when communists take over, and make no mistake about it, Democrat socialists are communist. No, it's not even up for debate. It's a fact. Okay? When communists take over a country, or attempt to take over a country, as they're trying to do here, they rewrite that country's story and history to make it the story of them, of communism. And this is the girl from Ethiopia, just what we need, third world people telling the first world how we should be running our country. She's from Ethiopia, okay, and she just won the Democrat Socialist primary out in Colorado. And listen to this BS. Okay, so socialism, there's nothing more American than socialism, she says. Yeah. This is crazy. Oh my goodness, she's a smile talker. I hate smile talkers. People that smile when they talk because what they're saying is so brilliant. She's talking about the unions, okay? That was not socialism. The reason that we had to have the unfair labor practices, okay? When Thomas Edison electrified the world with the electric light bulb, all of a sudden factories could be open after dark, and there just weren't any rules about how many hours a week, and they were working day and night without anything, and it had nothing to do with socialism. Now I know that the commies may have infiltrated some unions and destroyed things like the auto industry in this country. But what she's referring to when, in Ethiopia, they're attempting to do what we did over 100 years ago. And that's to bring the electric light bulb into every home and business in the country. They're still dealing in Ethiopia, where she's from, with electrification. So, we had to have some labor laws because you can't have people working 24 hours a day. It's not socialism. It was part of the industrialization and electrification. But, hey, listen, they're rewriting our history to fit the commie story.
That is not capitalism, right? Unfettered capitalism is where the capitalists, the owners of means of production, are the only ones that are calling the shots. And you are lucky to have the job, and you have to deal with the conditions. Socialism is about delivering democracy in the workplace, and making sure that workers have a say about the conditions that they're working.
Well, how's it democracy? They're talking about they want to abolish the presidency, abolish the Senate, and have an oversight committee over the Supreme Court. Oh, the wage that's fair. There comes the commie talk.
I also think that when folks think of capitalism, I think they think of free markets and competition, innovation,
Yeah, that's the American way.
What do you think of? I think of monopolies.
Monopolies. Yeah, monopolies. Yeah, Ethiopia. I mean, my goodness. Every time I see her, I think about USA for Africa. They couldn't even feed their own people just a few short years ago, and she's over here telling us how we should run our country. You know, this is crazy to me. And these Democrat socialists are going to have some victories, right? Because some of them won primaries in places where there's no competition, some of these New York ones. It's important to defeat Ahmed in the Michigan general election. He's expected to win the primary, and he's going to be paraded around the media like he just won the presidency of the United States. But you can see by listening to her how insanely crazy and anti-American and dangerous Democrat socialism is, because it is communism. They want to destroy everything in this country, not just an overthrow of the U.S. government, because they're advocating that. When you're talking about eliminating the presidency and the Senate, doing away with the independent judiciary by adding a whole bunch of justices to the Supreme Court who answer to some oversight star chamber over the Supreme Court, that is an overthrow of the American government. And now what she's talking about is the overthrow of private industry. Now, if there had been a place around the world where communism worked, they might be able to make a case. But there's nowhere in the world where communism has taken over where it has worked. It doesn't even work in China. China is a facade. It's like a movie set. Some of it looks fine on the front, but if you look around the corner, you get to see there's nothing there, right? North Korea, Cuba, Latin America, where the communists have come, and of course, the Soviet Union, and Eastern Europe before the fall of the Berlin Wall. You know, when the Berlin Wall fell, there were parts of East Germany that still had not been rebuilt from the Second World War. Think about that. So they don't. There's no doubt and no debate over the failure of communism, because everywhere it failed. There's no place where it's worked, not even close, right? And so it's just not something that's up for debate. And if you notice, the ones that are talking about communism the most, the Ethiopian girl, the Mamdani from Uganda, these are people from the worst of the third world. And if you come from a place like that, you know, communism sounds good because nobody has anything. How can it get worse for them? Because there's already nothing there. But it doesn't work in the United States. And, you know, the American people are the hardest working people in the world. And Americans like to be busy and be working, right? And, you know, and communism, you know what is proof positive that communism is incredibly unpopular in this country? It's because they won't call it communism. You know, the last time I was on Newsmax, I don't know if you guys saw this, I was on Newsmax recently again, and we were talking about this. And I said at the end of the segment, I said, you know, remember the words of Ronald Reagan. Americans will never accept communism, but if you call it socialism, they'll accept every last tenet of it. We're talking about liberal Americans, and that's true. And these Democrat socialists, you know, when you're listening to what they talk about, my favorite line of Ronald Reagan's is this. Have you ever heard Ronald Reagan say this? When liberals see a fat man standing next to a skinny man, they think the fat man only got fat because he exploited the skinny man, right? And that's one of my favorite quotes of Ronald Reagan, maybe my favorite. It makes a lot of sense. And that's what they're talking about here. And this is very, very dangerous because they are going to have some victories. I believe that the Democratic Socialist of America should be outlawed. I don't believe that the Democrat Socialist of America should be allowed to be sworn in to any government position because they're advocating for the overthrow of the United States government in their party platform that they just passed about 3 weeks ago. The elimination of the presidency, the elimination of the Senate, and an oversight board for the independent judiciary on the Supreme Court. That is an overthrow of the government of the United States. That is treason. That is a violent revolution. And also, where did the communists take over around the world where they didn't do it violently? So if you're part of a political party that is talking about the overthrow of the American government, which they detailed in their party platform like 3 weeks ago, how can you be allowed to legally exist as a political party if your stated mission is the overthrow of the U.S. government? They're not talking about getting elected. They're talking about eliminating an entire branch of government, the executive branch, eliminating half of the legislative branch, and eliminating the third branch, which is the judiciary, because what makes the judiciary a branch is that it's an independent judiciary. We have 3 branches of government that are separate. They're not equal, okay? I know liberals like to say that, but they're separate. And they want to eliminate 2 of them completely and eliminate half of the other, the legislative. That is a crime. That is sedition. Their platform is a platform of violent revolution, the Democrat Socialist of America. And they need to be outlawed. And I hope that when some of these Democrat Commie Socialist of America win in November, and some of them will win, like these idiots in New York, that Mike Johnson refuses to swear them in because they're with a political party that has vowed to overthrow the government of the United States as we know it. And that cannot be allowed. They cannot be allowed to be sworn in. Not only that, those that are already in office should be ejected because, you know, the entire House is up for re-election. So AOC and Presley, whose husband owns a house that had the dead girl in it the other day and all that stuff, they're all running again. The whole House is up for re-election. They got to be sworn in again. Anyone who is a Democrat socialist in the House, Mike Johnson should refuse to swear them in on the basis that their party platform is the overthrow of the United States government, and that is treason, and we are not going to sit them in here. And they should expel Bernie Sanders from the Senate as well, the Democratic Socialist senator. That's what I think. You guys let me know what you think. All right, listen, those of you that are on hold, I'll be here tomorrow morning, first thing. So you can either call me tomorrow morning live, or you can stay on hold, and you'll be in front of the line on the morning show. If you're new, welcome. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Make sure you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. And those of you watching on YouTube, please do me the favor of liking the video. When you like the video, it gets the video recommended to people that have not yet found my channel. Again, my name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I will see you first thing tomorrow morning.